It's the shaggy hang you had no idea you needed at Christmas time. No hustle and bustle here, all just cool, chill, hangout vibes. At Christmas Eve at Miller's Point, Alonso tells about it.
Raise your glasses.
I'm always gonna look forward to the holidays with you all.
And raise some hell.
So yeah, this is from Tyler Taormina, and it premiered at the Director's Fortnight section at the Cannes Film Festival, lest you think from the title that this was going to be just another Hallmark jam. And I think it's presenting an interesting quandary, because this is a movie that the art house audiences that would, I think, dig it the most are probably being put off by the fact that it has Christmas in the title. And people who want to see a movie with Christmas in the title aren't necessarily going to be in love with this movie, especially if they walk in cold and don't know what they're getting into. So here's what you're getting into. It is circa 2004, and we immediately follow a family that includes a mom played by Maria Dizzia and the dad played by Ben Shenkman, arriving at a very full house of relatives celebrating Christmas in Miller's Point, which is, I guess, a section of Long Island. And much like something like, I don't know, Robert Altman's A Wedding, we are plunged into this house without getting a clear picture of who's who's related to who are the cousins, who are the siblings, who are the grandparents. And I've now seen this movie twice, and I have a better idea of who all these people are, but it's not ultimately the point. Nor is the plot the point. If you're wondering what happens in this movie, this is the kind of movie where, when, you know, actor Kentucker Audley had that line of hats and T-shirts for people who like art house movies, and one of the ones just said, "Nothing happens." So technically, not a ton happens in this movie, but a lot happens in this movie. It's a memory piece, and so, you know, the grandmother, the matriarch of the family, is getting older, and she needs more medical care. So there's discussion about whether or not they're going to sell the house. The teens have varying degrees of good or bad relationships with their parents, and they all sneak off for a wild night on the town and a taste of freedom to sort of be on their own and do their own thing. There are rituals that happen, whether it's gathering to see the fire trucks go by with, you know, the lights of Santa and his sleigh on the side, or all the adults boozing up in, you know, filling their thermoses with hooch and going for a long walk in the cold winter's night. That's kind of it. And you have to be okay with that kind of being it. But Dave and I have been talking about this movie, and he compares it to, it's like if the beginning of Fanny and Alexander were set in Long Island in 2004, with a lot of Long Island accents, and with that similar thing of, there's no protagonist here. The camera is not telling you whose story you're going to follow. And when I was talking about this on Facebook, somebody who listens to Linoleum Knife was like, this kind of sounds like Terrence Davies' The Long Day Follows, or The Long Day Closes, rather. And that's actually also a pretty good comparison, because, again, it's not a movie where things happen and there's a plot and there's a story and there's an arc. It's more this kind of succession of memories and moments where people see or do something that, you know, they're going to carry with them for the rest of their lives. And it reminds you of things that you have seen or done. And this movie packs a wallop, and I love it, but it is super hard to sell, because it is not a movie where things happen. It is a movie where you feel things and remember things, and it is a hang and it is a vibe, but in a great, great way.
Yeah, if there's any kind of narrative through line, it's that the mom is getting older, and the siblings gather in various rooms or the garage or the backyard to talk about, what should we do with her? Do we sell the house? What kind of shape is she in? Does she need extra care? But even that, like, does not really build a whole lot of tension.
No.
It just sort of gets sprinkled in, like, oh, right, that's a thing that's happening among many other things that are happening. So I'm an only child, very small family. So I don't personally have this kind of thing in my family, but next door to me was a family with like 3 kids and multiple cousins, and the whole neighborhood would come on Christmas Eve every year to this house. And like, when you're a little kid, you look forward to Christmas Eve at the Tiptons because everyone goes there. And there's this sensation of like, you may not see any of these people all year long, but you're going to see them there, and it will feel as if no time has passed, and like you're picking right back up. And there's a timelessness to that. So like all the kids on the cul-de-sac like were psyched to go to the Tipton's house on Christmas Eve. It's something I still remember vividly. And I feel like for those little kids that you see, like this is the kind of thing that they will always remember.
Yeah.
Right. And so even like the adults are doing some ritualistic things that they've probably done, you know, since they were little kids themselves. And it's one of those rare situations where you truly have people of all ages in one place, right? Little kids and teenagers and parents and uncles. And like, there's, you know, the weird uncle who, you know, he's nice and means well, but is weird. And then, of course, the grandmothers. And so I think it's very specific and evocative in creating this kind of little time capsule. I don't know how you get 2004 as the time peg because it feels like it could be any time.
The phones. The kids have phones and they have to text by like doing the
cycling through.
Yeah, to get to the letter they want. That's about the only tip off. Because like Michael Cera and Greg Turkington show up as a couple of cops. But are they cops? Are they cosplaying as cops? Because their uniforms are all wrong, or at least they seem
City of New York cops.
Yeah,
but they're on Long Island.
Yeah, and they've got, I don't know, it all seems like it's the wrong like there's something off about them, and it just, even for 2004, you're like, what's going on here? But yeah, generally there is a timelessness to it because they're all packed into this old house. You're watching the old VHS tapes of the family's home movies in one of my favorite scenes. So yeah, the phone is the one tip off I have about it. But seeing it a second time, I started looping together little things that come to mean something, like the hole in the front yard. There's a gift box that changes hands and goes through some stuff. So there are things along the way that are telling you a story and that are implying things about the characters and their relationship to each other and about what's happening in this family. Is this the last Christmas that they're going to spend together in this house? Maybe, but nobody makes a big deal about it. They don't stop and tell you that.
It's not emotional in a way that would suggest, right?
Exactly. They don't milk that. They don't stop and tell you much. You really have to just kind of absorb and pay attention. And again, I don't know if I'm making this movie sound as awesome as it is, but it's so good. And I know I'm the boy who cried Christmas. I know everybody thinks that if it's got Christmas involved, that I'm just going to go for it hook, line, and sinker. But this is a genuinely great film. Like Dave and I, years ago on the podcast Screen Drafts, did an episode that was called Art House Christmas, where we talked about Fanny and Alexander and, Metropolitan and Eyes Wide Shut and all these sort of like, Dans Paris, these films that are set at the Christmas season, but that are aimed more at an art house audience. This is an art house Christmas movie.
Totally.
And it is unfortunately in Los Angeles, not opening at the New Art, not opening at a Laemmle. We had to go to the Valley to see it. Like that
sucks.
Yeah, it's streaming. It's showing in like Sherman Oaks and in that tiny shoebox at the Burbank 8. So I don't even know that IFC quite knows how to get this movie to the people that I think would appreciate it the most. But I imagine that they're opening it in theaters now so that it can be streaming at Christmas time. So if it isn't around you, you'll have that chance at some point to see it. But I urge you to see it and to turn off your phone, do the thing where you really pay attention to it, because if you give it that level of focus, it is rewarding.
Yeah, the production design is very evocative.
Yeah.
Like the long takes going from one room to the next, and like it could be the 70s, it could be now.
Yeah.
Like the all the schlock, like the Christmas cards taped up to things, and just the way that they talk to each other could be really any time. And even though there's a Scorsese in here and a Spielberg in here, I think it's the kind of thing where people are like, wait, what is this? But hopefully on streaming, and because it's getting good reviews, folks will give it a chance. But you've got to get ready to get on its wavelength.
Yeah.
So what is your number there? Since you love it so much, what's your number?
It's got 9.4. I really love this movie. And I hope to be able to articulate that better as it goes along, because I feel like I'm not doing justice to its unique power.
Okay. I will say like a 7.8. This is definitely not for everyone, but there's great authenticity in like the moods that it conjures and the memories. And even though this is very specific to this sprawling Italian-American family, there's a universality in that, like Christmas, going home for Christmas again, and like the people that you see and the moments that you experience. So it's pretty good. And I liked it a lot too. So Christmas Eve in Miller's Point, keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.